Whether you're laying wall tiles in showers, bathrooms or kitchens, the same basic principles apply. Right, we're ready to start tiling now. We've planned out our wall accordingly, we know exactly how many tiles we need, and we've been down to see the guys at Builders and they've given us the right tiles and the right amount of adhesive as well. Not to mention some safety gloves and some goggles. Remember, depending on the area that you're working, you might want to put down a drop cloth. We're going to be tiling this floor as well, so it doesn't really matter. Start off with the surface, mix up your adhesive, make sure there's the right consistency. Always a good idea just to mix up about a quarter of a batch at a time. You don't want it to be setting and going off. Pretty straightforward. We're going to apply the adhesive. Now remember, we're starting off from our line and going to work our way out, so don't cover your line up. Spread it out, do a few tiles at a time. You can always add more adhesive and do the next row. The serrated edge on the tile spreader allows gaps in the adhesive for the tile to squash down neatly onto the wall. Always ensure that you apply it at a 45-degree angle and the same pressure to ensure the consistent amount of adhesive from tile to tile. Starting with our first tile, we're just going to place it in and push it firmly into position. When you apply the tiles, make sure you apply with an even pressure, and it's the same for the next tile. Now we're going to use our spacers. This is what we're going to put in line with the tile to make sure we've got an even gap to allow our grouting to actually fit in there. Now basically we're going to continue laying all the full uncut tiles per row before we move up to the next row. Once that's set, we're then going to start cutting our edge tiles. As you go along between each row, just remove any excess adhesive which has got onto the tiles using a damp sponge. And the same for areas which you aren't going to be tiling for quite some time, like the edges. Remove that excess, otherwise it's going to go hard and it's going to be difficult later on. Hold a spirit level against the tiles horizontally, vertically and diagonally. To check that together, they create a flat, even surface. When all your uncut tiles are placed, measure each edge tile before cutting it, making sure it will fit properly into the space available for it, and taking into account the spaces. When it comes to sections of the taps, you're obviously going to have to cut out your tile. Have a look on episode number 5, we show you exactly how to do that. And remember, when these difficult areas, like on the edges, put the tile adhesive on the back of the tile first, and then squeeze it into place. It's best to leave your newly tiled area overnight to dry fully before grouting it. Grouting is a process of filling in between the tiles. Pretty straightforward. Mix it with water and then spread it on. If it is a little too stiff, just add a little more water. Work on a small area at a time, completing the grouting and cleaning the tiles before moving on to the next section. Before leaving the grout to harden, clean any grout from the surface of the tiles with a damp sponge and run a damp finger or a piece of doweling along the filled joints to create a smooth finish. Leave the grout for 15 to 20 minutes before wiping the tile surfaces again. Once the grout is dry, polish the tiles with a dry soft cloth. You can reduce the tendency of white grout to absorb water by extending the time it takes to cure. To do this, spray it with a mist of clean, cold water 3 times a day for 3 days. This will also strengthen the grout. You can't use this technique with coloured grout, as the extra moisture might dissolve the pigment and so destroy the integrity of the grout. After a few days, you need to apply a grout sealer. The TFC grout sealer comes ready mixed and with a nozzle, so you can just apply it to the grout only. If you do spill over the tile, just wipe it off with a rag. Continue across the rest of the wall, sealing all the grout, and allow it to dry for 24 hours. If you need any help, go down and see the guys at Builders. They'll be more than happy to give you advice.